Have you ever wondered how I end up choosing what book to read or not read? Well, here are 5 reasons I'm definitely not going to read a book. Number one, an ambiguous title. So I'm talking about A Court of Blah and Blah. Anything that starts A Court of, I'm not going to read unless the court is like incredibly evocative or descriptive. I know we're just chasing the popularity of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it just ain't working for me. Like, I don't need mist and fury or moon and starlight or like anything like that. The titles don't stand out enough, so like I don't even know which one I'm reading, and a lot of times there isn't even anything pretty on the cover for me. Random shape patterns or like the outline of some rando McRanderson. And I know it's a fantasy story, I know it's a magic story, and I know it's probably a romantasy specifically or like a paranormal, but I just can't. Even though it's my genre and my thing, if that's all you're giving me, I don't want it. On the sci-fi side of things, sometimes they're also like named very ambiguously. Like I read Compound 26, and that one book appealed to me because Compound 26 made it sound like either it was a cure or a place, like a number set out of many others. And I want to know a little bit more about the cure and or that one specific place. But the follow-up names in that series are off-putting because they're also compound number. And I don't think they go in chronological number, so then that's like very off-putting in my brain because I can't follow it easily to know which book is which. There are other reasons I'm not reading more in that series, but one of them definitely comes from the vague-ass title. And to be fair, I do read a lot of werewolf shifter fiction, and the titles there are also pretty generic, like The Werewolf's Rejected Mate or The Werewolf's Chosen Mate or whatever. But here's the difference there, is I know we're dealing with a werewolf and we're dealing with some kind of fated or rejected mate situation, which is all I need to know to be interested. Not to mention the book covers there are usually fairly pretty and interesting, where I'm not getting any of that from The Court of Blah and Blah. So your title has to be giving me some kind of relevant information, even if it's not that unique. That's all I'm saying. Number two is a crappy book cover. I know crappy book covers are going to vary from person to person, so what one person likes, another person doesn't like. But I don't like just designs on a cover without something else that indicates what's going on. I prefer there's some kind of person in the cover, and I prefer it's not just like a close-up of a man's abs or like a close-up of a woman like heaving. Those are not like my preferred person poses. I want them like to be doing something interesting or in the middle of an interesting landscape or like an interesting monster or perhaps an interesting background or contraption. There are some scenarios that just appeal to me, so I guess you could do like a simple haunted house picture, a simple cave, perhaps like some menacing trees, maybe even like a lock and a key. And those sort of very simple cover works would work for me, but generally speaking, I'm gonna need something that looks attractive on the cover to get me into it. Book 0 or 0.05 or 1.5 or 18.3. If you're a book series, I want you to start at number 1 and go up in whole numbers. I know it's in style right now to have little in-between scene novellas be like 0.3, 0.5, 0.8. And if you want to do that, fine, but I can promise you I'm not going to read it. The whole numbers are the ones that are telling stories that matter, and if you're telling me a story 0, just make it a prequel. Don't set it at 0. That just looks stupid. A Christmas book? I don't know what it is, but I hate Christmas. I don't generally like holiday episodes, period, but at least when you do a Halloween episode, there's a chance that really what I'm getting is like a horror scary time, where Christmas is supposed to be like a feel-good special secret miracle. And honestly, like, I don't really like Christmas. I like goodwill towards all. I mean, I assume everybody does, and I like giving to other people, whether they're strangers or friends or family. I just think there are a lot of other holidays and times and places you could do that feel less alienating and high pressure than Christmas is. Not to mention the few Christmas specials I've actually read have always felt incredibly hokey and like just too much gooey syrup for me to ever like escape from. And just based off of that, I don't read Christmas specials or like Christmas editions and things pretty much ever. My one exception here is if you're doing a Krampus themed thing, then yes, I'm down for that kind of like horror involved in Christmas, or like showing the high level of commercialism and pressure that's surrounding Christmas nowadays versus like a simple goodwill charity thing it maybe once was. And lastly, a World War II story anything. I just am done with dealing with anything fictional happening in World War II. As it happens, I took a whole college course on the Holocaust, and that gave me more real life, real world interviews. And like, we also did some fictionalized things in that, like Maus book 1 and book 2 as part of that class. And I just don't need anything else that's set in that time period that's telling me about that time period like ever again. I feel like I got the full spectrum from real honest accounts as well as some of the most notable fiction surrounding it. At this point in time, a little bit it feels icky when people set things in World War II to me. Like they have some kind of like obsession with it or like overemphasis and focus on it. And I just wonder, like, what are you telling that's so unique and new and different? Or like, what is happening in that time period that your story has to happen then to work? And none of that really like appeals to me at this juncture in my life. So those are going to be my 5 petty reasons that I won't be reading your story. Hopefully you write something else that has a good cover and a good title and doesn't take place on Christmas time or in World War II. But talk to me in those comments down below. What is the #1 thing that turns you off to reading a story? And if you got this far and you've got nothing else to say, leave me a sick emoji in those comments down below. And as always, keep reading.